Alright, we're going to start a little bit of a review here. I'm a long-time owner of the TL1000R. What is this, 2016? I've owned 4 of these things since about 2002. So I've had a fair amount of time with them, both on the street, on the racetrack, wrenching, kind of learning about them. You know, I've done most of my own maintenance whenever I can. I try to learn a little bit more, because I'll tell you, taking it to a dealership for motorcycle maintenance, it is just astronomically expensive, in my opinion, to have someone else do your work. So, the TL1000R is a 90s design V-twin superbike. It's 996 cc's, 90-degree V-twin. It's got about 115 to 120 horsepower, but it's got 70 to 75 foot-pounds of torque. So it's a great bike for the street, and it's great for coming off the corners with all kinds of torque and stuff. But on the top end of it, it kind of runs out of breath, and I experienced that on the racetrack. So it's great to come off the corners, it's fun on the street, but the high end, the top end, the horsepower, it just kind of runs out of breath. So I've owned a lot of motorcycles over the years, but I've found myself gravitating back to the TL1000R. I've actually had 4 of these things. It's a mid-90s design. It's kind of heavy, with all the fluids in its stock configuration, you know, all topped off. You're looking at a 500-pound motorcycle. So it's not light by any means of today's standards. It's a leader class superbike, but it's a 90s leader class superbike. It's, by today's standards, it's very much underpowered. But for the street and the occasional track day, it is just a ton of fun. I would actually argue that with my experience, I don't think I've had a more fun big bike. I've owned ZX10Rs and ridden GSXRs and CBRs, big horsepower bikes and everything like that. They weren't as fun on the street because you can't really use it. For example, I had an 06 ZX10R that it would do 110 miles an hour in first gear. So even in first gear, the slowest you could go to get to all that horsepower was 110. So for the street, it really wasn't a practical machine to use. But the TLR, you get decent horsepower, a great sounding motor. I mean, it's just a sweet sound, a nice rumble. And a lot of people have asked me before, they don't even know what it is, because it wasn't made for very many years. It was made from 1998 to 2003. That's what Suzuki sold those as model years. If you have a 98 and you have a 2003, it's virtually the same bike. They made some paint scheme changes. There were some tweaks in the ECU, I think in 2002 or 2003, where they went to a more sophisticated ECU, but it really didn't matter. It didn't make any real practical difference in the bike. So if you wanted a TL1000R, it's not necessarily which year is the best one. It's kind of, you just look and, hello, okay. You just look for one that's in good running condition. You know, it doesn't matter really the age at this point. If it's taken care of, regardless if you got the oldest one, a 98, or the newest one, a 2003, it's not really going to make that much difference. Oh, baby. Wow, back to the foliage. Look at that. Wow. Okay, I'm distracted again. So back to the TLR. It's a heavier motorcycle by today's standards. It's underpowered by today's standards, but it has all the modern features that you would desire from a sport bike. You have an aluminum frame, fuel injection, inverted forks. I found that it's everything that it needs to be to ride the street and the racetrack and have a lot of fun. If you have a big racetrack that you want to go to with lots of long straightaways and high speed, it's great for a track day, but don't expect that you're going to be doing much passing on the throttle. The way you're going to find yourself passing is passing on the brakes to get by people, because you just won't have the horsepower, the weight ratio to pass the more modern bikes. And honestly, in a straight line, I get passed by 600 class modern sport bikes. The longer the straight, wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, the longer the straight is, the more of a disadvantage you'll be at. You'll find the 600, even the 600s will kind of walk away. And the whole strategy is come off the corners better than the 600s, and just try to keep them close enough so you can get them on the brakes at the end of the next turn. Wow, look at this. This is an absolute inferno of color. Oh, I'm loving this. Oh boy. Yeah, this is October in New Hampshire. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Hey, buddies. Buddies! Yeah, come on up to New Hampshire. Take a ride, take a look at the foliage here. Oh my gosh. It's just fantastic. See you next time on Enjoying the Ride, New Hampshire.